Hi guys, today I thought I would go through and show you my favorite concealers for the under eye and face. And I've never done a video just solely on my concealer collection, and I noticed the other day that I have accumulated a little stash of concealers that I do really like a lot. And some of them are all-time favorites, old standbys, and then a few others are new concealers or concealing type products that I've discovered recently and wanted to share with you guys. So I guess I'll get started with the concealers that I use for my face. The first one is my MAC Studio Finish Concealer SPF 35, and this one is actually NC20, and this one works really well for blemishes or any other kinds of discolorations on your face, or it works well for me, I think, because it's a really dense formula, so it's substantial. You don't have to use a lot of it for it to cover, you can see it really covers up that freckle, which you can't see anymore, but it really covers up. Definitely a heavy-duty concealer for spots that, especially raised up type spots or blemishes that are harder to conceal because they cast a shadow. It's really good for getting underneath any kind of raised blemish or anything like that, and it'll conceal the shadow and completely camouflage the blemish for the most part. But recently I was reading some reviews online about the Kat Von D Tattoo Concealer, and I read so many amazing reviews that I just had to give it a shot. And the first shade I actually tried out was my perfect shade. So this is the Kat Von D Tattoo Concealer in Sand, and so I was a little curious and I tried to cover up some of my ink with this concealer, and I found that it actually didn't really conceal my tattoo that well. It's actually down here along my ribs. I would show you, but it's kind of in a weird spot, and I could still see, the colors underneath and the design underneath of the concealer when I was trying it. I don't really have a need to hide my tattoo anyway. I was just kind of experimenting to see if it worked. Either way, I really like this one for my face. I think it's awesome. And that is just what the swatch looks like. Kat Von D is right there. And I love this so much. I think the best thing about this concealer is the fact that it has an amazing silky texture. It really replicates the texture of natural skin, which is great when you're trying to conceal a larger area of discoloration or something like that. But it works equally as well for tinier blemishes and that kind of a thing. I did try this under my eyes, and I'm not a huge fan of wearing this under my eyes, but that wasn't a really big deterrent for me just because I'm pretty used to using two different products. I have to be careful about what kind of concealers I use, because if I use it in a really large area, it can go wrong really quickly and look really cakey and thick. This one never does. I can tap it on with my finger if I want to. I can apply it with a synthetic brush, or you can even use a natural fiber brush, I'm sure. This is an E35 from Sigma, and this is an E25. So I'll use either of those two to swirl it on, or just use my traditional concealer brush. This is really dirty for some reason. This is my F70 concealer brush from Sigma, and I really like this one for getting underneath the blemishes too. Okay, so moving on to the concealers that I use for my under eye area. This is where I get really picky, because you guys may know I have very dark under eye circles. Very dark under eye circles, so I'm really picky about my concealers. I like them to look very natural, but really pack some punch when it comes to coverage. And the first one is my MAC Select Moisturecover, and this is actually an old tube. I haven't used this product in a little while, so this one is actually one that I had sitting around waiting to go back to MAC, and this isn't even the right shade that I like to wear. This is NW20. It's nice because it keeps your under eye area very moisturized while concealing at the same time, and it is very easy to blend in because it is very liquidy, but it still holds up really well. A really great drugstore under eye concealer, and this is my Garnier Skin Renew Anti-Dark Circle Roller, and they have a translucent one, I believe, but this is the tinted one, and I think they only come in one shade, but which is kind of an upside and a downside. I mean, luckily this shade does match my skin in the summertime, but in the wintertime it's too dark. I thought that it wouldn't have enough coverage just because it is a roller ball, and you would think that for a product to work with a roller ball it'd have to be very liquidy, but it is very pigmented and gives really nice natural looking coverage, so this is one that I would definitely recommend. And another really great drugstore concealer that I've been using for probably about a year or so is my Neutrogena Healthy Skin 3-in-1 Concealer for Eyes, And the 3-in-1 means that it's a concealer and eye cream and SPF 20 as well. It's easy to blend because it is very creamy, but at the same time it has like a thickness to it that helps conceal everything without using very much at all. So it's really hard to explain. You have to almost use it to experience what I'm talking about, because it's almost like it's really thick, but it's not at the same time. It's really weird, but it's the perfect consistency for me. I love it, and the shade that I wear is Fair. It's a little expensive for the drugstore, but at the same time, if you compare it to like a high-end concealer, I think it works just as good or even better than other ones I've tried, and it is cheaper compared to those. So yeah, Neutrogena 3-in-1 concealer for eyes and Fair. As far as a setting powder goes for the under eye area, I find that it's a necessity for me. It keeps my under eye concealer from creasing, from fading, and just looking crazy. So there's been a huge revelation in that department for me, because I used my Benefit Powder Flash for years. Again, it was one of those old trusty standby products that I always knew I could use. It works so well, and then I ran out of it and I started looking around for it. I couldn't find it anywhere. They didn't have it at Ulta, which I don't think they ever carried it there, but I couldn't find it at Sephora. The girl at Sephora said they're pretty much discontinuing it. I feel like eventually they're just going to phase it out completely and it won't even be available online, and it's just better to find something else that works than have to go to crazy lengths to get a product like going on eBay or something. I would just rather find something new that's easily accessible. So I was in Ulta and I was walking through the Bare Minerals aisle one day, and I came across Bare Minerals Well Rested, which I have used. I used years and years ago for my under eye concealer, and it's a very interesting product because it's actually a tinted, it's very similar to a lot of the other Bare Minerals products, just a tinted powder. And the new pots, I wasn't used to this, but the new ones come with a sifter. Basically what this is an eye brightener in powder form for your under eye. And it sounds crazy, like how could that work? But it actually does really work. And I remember how I used to use it. I would just use it by itself. But a little light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, it does have some coverage, but it is also a powder, so maybe it would set in my under eye concealer. So now I just use my E40 brush to apply it. And I actually found that I love this. I think I like it even better than my powder flash. And I think the really cool thing about this is that it is really illuminating. I can't put my finger on how exactly it does it, but it's just a very light powder, and that's about all I would need for both of my eyes. And it is very illuminating. It's hard to figure out why, because it doesn't look, I mean, it's not shimmery or iridescent or anything like that, but it just looks like a regular face powder. But when you apply it to your under eye area, it's very, it reflects light in a way that looks very, very youthful, and just definitely brightens your under eye area and looks really pretty. And it's because it is tinted, you can use it for touch-ups really easily, and it doesn't look really dry or cakey. You can just apply it, keep applying it throughout the day if you want to, and it'll just brighten up your under eye area, and it doesn't look like overkill. So you can layer it and build up coverage. So I really, really like this product a lot. It's different than anything I've ever used before, and I'm glad that I went back to it, because now I'm using it in a different way, and I like it even better than before because I'm using it, I think, in a better, it's a better application for that product than just using it by itself. So I feel like I'm winded. So that is basically my concealer collection in a nutshell, and all my favorites that I would really recommend to anyone to try. And I think that I really invest a lot of time in finding the perfect concealer, just because it's one of those things that it's such a small step in your routine, but it can save you a lot of time and a lot of headache just by spot treating some areas on your face. You won't have to use as much foundation. I think that it's a really great product to invest in. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. Like I showed, there's some really great options at the drugstore too. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys, and thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.